everybody. It is Deidre and Dustin White from Could It Be, an Oak Island podcast. We are just hopping on here tonight because, as most of you know, or maybe some of you haven't heard yet, we've had some very sad news come out of Oak Island today.
Yeah, it's our unfortunate duty to let you know, if you don't know already, that Dan Blankenship has passed away at 95 years old.
Yeah, what a legend.
Yeah, and what a life.
I would agree. Wow.
Yeah, this is just a small attempt at a tribute for Dan, and we're just going to share some thoughts and share some sentiments from other fans that we have gathered from our Facebook page and some other places on the internet. So I hope you enjoy listening to these recollections and these memories and what people thought of Dan, the man, Blankenship.
That is absolutely correct. Dan, 95 years old, kind of a legend in the treasure hunting community.
Yeah, he's basically probably the most universally liked character, at least on the show.
Yeah.
Like, how can anybody not smile when he jumps up and, or when his face pops up on the screen, because he suddenly shows up, especially this year. He's not so prominently featured, but when he's there, he steals the scene.
Oh, yes. Full of joy and excitement. He's always got a great tidbit of information to share with the team. We're definitely going to miss his wealth of knowledge and insight.
Yeah, when I first learned about it earlier today, I was in shock.
Yeah, as most everybody is.
He's 95 years old. This is something that happens to 95-year-olds, right?
Yes.
Most people seem to not make it to 95, so good job to Dan for kicking as long as he did.
Yeah.
And we're just really happy to have been able to share a little bit of his life the last few years on the TV show. And, Deidre and I have talked about this before. We did know about some of the ongoings at Oak Island before the TV show, was a thing. And, those were Dan's doings. So
they sure were.
So, he's just brought a lot of joy and
inspiration
to everybody that has ever, laid eyes on his work. So
it's truly amazing what he's laid out here for everybody.
He has quite the legacy.
Oh yes. So real quick, I guess we'll go ahead and read this short announcement that for us made it very true, that came from Friends of Oak Island on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Because we always want to make sure that whatever news it is, especially like this we're bringing, is from a reliable source, and we feel that they definitely are.
Yeah, they would know.
They would. So, as they said it so eloquently, it is with heavy hearts that we share the news of the passing of Daniel Blankenship, a true Oak Island legend. Dan was a respected and admired man. His perseverance, ingenuity, and passion inspired all. Safe journey, Dan. We will all miss you, and your legacy will be a part of us. Always.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head.
Sure did. Yeah, that's a fitting tribute to a man that's touched so many lives.
Yes, his wife passed away before him.
Yeah, I don't remember how many years ago, but yeah, it was at least 5 years ago, I believe.
Yes, so that was Jane, and then of course he is survived by his daughter Linda and his son Dave and his granddaughter Dawn.
And so we want to share our condolences with Dan's family.
Yes.
And this is going to be a hard time for them. It's a hard time for all of us, but imagine how hard it is for them.
Yes, for them, even for the team. I know anybody could see what Rick was very close to them. And that being said, please just leave them alone. Please don't try to reach out. I mean, we don't know them personally, of course, but people do deserve their privacy during this time, and we're here to give condolences in our own way.
Totally. Yeah, he's just gonna be a little weird without him.
It is. We've got some great memories of
sure
Dan
do.
just from the show, not knowing him personally, but I always have a good Dan clip to fall back on.
Well, like I was saying earlier, he steals the scene every time he's shown. What was your favorite Dan moment recently?
Oh man, there's so many.
There is.
Most recently, I love when they're headed out to Smith's Cove and it's a 4-lane highway out here. Or
when they were fixing up the crane pad and getting all that ready, yeah.
Wow. And being still so impressed with the magic of everything. But so witty. He always had, I feel like we shared the same sense of humor. He was really quick to come back for something, such as Marty was like, yeah, we got this mess all out here. And he's like, your words, not mine. I was like, yeah, I feel ya. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Pure joy.
Good stuff. That's really good.
What about you?
I think my favorite Dan kind of recent moment was at the end of the last season. Mm-hmm. They're sitting around the table in the war room, and I believe it was Marty that asked him, well, what would you do? Or how far would you go? I'm not exactly sure of Marty's quote, but I sure remember Dan's.
Yeah.
He said, well, how deep are your pockets? It's just him kind of impressing upon them that this is, and they already know, but he really knows. Oh. After living on Oak Island for over 50 years, he knows.
So many.
Or working on Oak Island for 50 years, yeah. So he knows that impressing that upon them from him should really bear a lot of weight.
Yes,
and
the weight of a top pocket. That's why Gary's got to keep finding the stuff.
Yeah, I saw Gary put out a nice little tribute to,
that's great.
To Dan today. Yeah,
I missed that. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, and then I saw one from Prometheus Entertainment.
Yes, I saw that.
And everybody. One Facebook page, the Curse of Oak Island Original. Mm-hmm. Their moderator, John Frick, put up a kind of little announcement and rest in peace, Dan Blankenship. And last I checked, it had over 3,500 comments of like well wishers and just people giving their condolences and prayers and thoughts for the family. And yeah, it's a lot.
That is. I mean,
that was a couple hours ago. It could be 4,000 or 5,000 now, for all I know.
It goes to show you that even from a different country and just across the TV screen, how someone can make such a big impact on so many people.
Yeah, well, he was a special guy.
He was,
and he's someone that we'll never forget. Like that's what legends are.
Yeah.
So
and that he definitely was.
Yeah, well, we'll have Rick and Marty and Gary and Jack and everybody else carrying his torch.
Generation.
Yeah, carrying his torch, and they will continue on the work. I have no doubt about it.
All right. Should we kind of dive into sharing the condolences from the fans?
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
All right, so the first one is from Terry D. Our prayers go out to the friends and family of Dan. Please accept my warmest and heartfelt sympathy.
Here's a message from Cara Shanley. My husband and I watch Oak Island from here in Scotland, and Dan will be hugely missed. He has such a lovely accent and a gentle manner. And, of course, the knowledge he had will be irreplaceable. What a brave and inspirational man. Rest in peace, sir.
Very nice. Okay, here's another one from Sarah Johnson. He reminded me of my own grandpa. He is my favorite person on the show, and I would get so excited when they would go to him for advice or show him a new find. What a special man for so many. That's so true.
Very true. And we have a message from Michael Ricks. So sad. My wife and I really enjoyed him when he would show up on the show. He was pure in his love for everything Oak Island.
All right. And then our next one from Diana 2. My husband and I have been fans of the show since day one, especially because of Dan. I get that.
I get it too. All right, then we have Stephanie Trammell. Dan, you'll be missed more than you know. While I am sad that you are gone, I'm sure you now know the answers. Be at peace, kind sir.
From Chuck Barnes. So sorry to hear the news. No one is ever really ready for someone like Dan leaving us. He had a long life doing what he loved. We should all be so lucky. Rest in peace, Dan. You will be missed.
This is from Paula Crow. Such sad news. He touched the lives of millions of people. Prayers for the family, both his family and his Oak Island family.
Okay, so from Adam Honeywood, a man who will be missed by all who know him and those who knew of him. I can only imagine how emotional Rick and Marty and the rest of the fellowship will be over this news. Rest in peace, Dan.
I can only imagine that too. All right, then we have from Franks G. Rest in peace, Mr. Blankenship. Hopefully you are now able to see the answers for which you devoted so much of your life in this search. I can just imagine you subtly guiding your friends toward it henceforth. My sympathy to your family, friends, and fans.
And then we have one from Elizabeth Young. Rest in peace, Mr. Blankenship. My thoughts and prayers are with you, your family, and the Oak Island team. May you now find comfort and knowledge of Oak Island and all its secrets and mysteries. You will truly be missed, and your wisdom will live on. Thank you, Dan.
This is from Karen Rosendahl. Oh no, how very sad. He was such a great guy. I so loved hearing him talk and how much he would remember. Rest in peace, Dan. Warm thoughts and love to his family and friends.
From Rum B. Rest in peace, Dan. Condolences to Dave and his family and to his Oak Island family.
And from Mike Vega, rest in peace, Dan. You were a true believer.
From Stephen Gorman, I didn't know about him or the treasure until the show a few years ago. I always liked when he came out. A retired Indiana Jones. Bless his family. Perfect description of him.
He's kind of a retired Indiana Jones.
I love it.
It's a good one.
That wouldn't retire.
Here's one from Tammy Booth. It says, rest in peace, Mr. Dan. Prayers for the family, the crews, and anyone who knew this great gentleman, full of knowledge and kindness. A great loss.
From Vivian Watkins, a message for Dave and his family and his granddaughter and his daughter. When you lose somebody that old, you feel like a part of your life is over, but it's not. He was the tree. You all are the branches and the roots. Take that knowledge that you learned from him and go forward. That's what he would want, and he will be missed by all.
From Brenda Lee, so sorry to hear of Dan's passing. He was, and, to me, will always be a great and instrumental part of the Curse of Oak Island. It will not be the same without him on the show. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family of this great man. He will truly be missed, but never forgotten.
This one's from Anna Adair Conrad. You could not be a true follower of the Curse of Oak Island without loving and appreciating Mr. Dan Blankenship's wisdom and humor. We will all miss him terribly. Condolences to the family.
This is from Don Clay. To everyone of the Oak Island cast, crew, and especially the Blankenship family, I express my sincere condolences at the loss of the great Dan Blankenship. I wept as hard as if it were a member of my immediate family when I heard. That's what an impact he made on me, and I'm sure many more lives. Such a kind, gentle man he seemed. The show was so much better for having him on it. A wonderful man, driving a golf cart wearing his wife's straw hat to keep the sun off his face. A cute and wonderful sight to always remember him by, and all of the hours that he put into the island. Rest in peace, Dan Blankenship. We will love you always.
That's a great one.
Yeah, I think that's the one we should end on with these messages. But thank you so much for everybody that has been giving so much love and pouring it all out for Dan Blankenship online. And I'm happy we could share a little bit of those thoughts and sentiments with everybody.
Absolutely. It's been a shock, but at the same time, it's really great to see all this love for Dan going around, and definitely from us here, our deepest condolences to the entire Oak Island team, family, and especially to Dan's immediate family.
Yeah, totally. All right, well, before we turn off the microphones for this special tribute, I do want to read something that I found today while doing a little bit of research on the man, the myth, and the legend, Dan Blankenship.
No myth about it.
No. I found this article from the National Post. It's at least 10 years old, I believe. But one part of this article stood out to me, and I just wanted to read it for everybody. So this is kind of more than halfway through the article. Still, Oak Island burns in his soul. He can't shake it. In many ways, he is symbolic of the place he has lived for all these years. A complex, complicated riddle of a man simply endures, decade after decade, dig after dig, and he is not alone. Mr. Blankenship and his wife Jane have been married for 63 years. He says it is true love, says she is one in a million. Other women would have walked away, he said, and I would not have blamed them. But Jane Blankenship has stayed. She has stood by her man. And now, Dan is reunited with Jane.
There we go.
And so they're back together again. So at least we can have that happy thought, knowing that he's looking over the Oak Island crew and he's back with the love of his life.
Yeah, and he has left the rest of the team to get back to work. They will carry on.
They sure will. So thank you for everything that you've brought us, Dan. Everything from 10X to the funny things you would say on the show. Like, what was that one that he said this year that was really funny?
Back to the drawing board.
That's the one. That was really cute and funny. So
yes, we quote him often, actually.
We do. So, and we'll continue to.
Absolutely. Great way to remember such a great man. So I guess we're going to go ahead and sign off, and we'll talk to you guys on the next podcast. Good night.
Good night.